Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I'm Ghadi Francis, coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon for another episode of WION's weekly show that brings you all the latest news from the world's most volatile region. The purple dye was found in Tyre, otherwise known as Sur, a Mediterranean thousands-year-old city in Lebanon. Phoenician. It is said that it is the oldest continuously inhabited city on that shore. Baalbek, the tallest Roman temple still to date stands in other parts of Lebanon. Both were attacked by Israelis and other World Heritage sites as well. It is not only the southern villages and the Beqa villages that are being ruined. And it's also in Gaza. Both enemies, Iran and Israel, are now in a war of claims. Israel claims that it crippled Iran's air defense system in Saturday's strikes. Iran, on the other side, says that these claims aren't correct. And Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, said that Israel is leaving no choice for Iran but to display its actual power. Take a look.
Sworn enemies Iran and Israel are continuing to trade barbs. Israel's military force used dozens of aircraft, including the sealed F-35 jets, to strike Iran's defense facilities last week. It also launched simultaneous strikes on Iraq and Syria, ostensibly targeting Iran-linked interests. Iran says it successfully countered Israeli strikes. It also dismissed Israel's claims, saying that its missile-making facilities are still intact.
The enemy has sought to hurt both our defensive and our offensive systems, but was not very successful, because we had made arrangements and were in the know. We have already taken on operating defense measures, the same military industries that you see. We had neither dead nor wounded because we saw that preparations were needed and we were informed.
Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said Tehran has a right to defend itself. Khamenei warned that the enemy has forced Tehran to showcase its power on the battleground. As per the latest report, Israeli intelligence has cautioned that Iran is preparing to attack Israel. Some Israeli officials have even suggested that the attack might take place before US presidential polls. Reports suggest that the attack is expected to be carried out from Iraq, using a large number of drones and ballistic missiles. Israeli forces are on high alert. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has issued a warning of his own.
Israel today has more freedom of action in Iran than ever. We can reach any place in Iran as necessary. The supreme goal I gave to the Israel Defense Forces and the security branches is to prevent Iran from achieving a nuclear weapon.
Sources have told WION that Iran's foreign minister will lead Iran's outreach to neighboring countries in person ahead of the Iranian response to Israel.
At Iran's Inqilab Square or Revolution Square where I'm standing, billboards like these have been put up which literally reads Agar Chand mein khwahid ma ustad jangim, which translates that if you want to fight, then we are masters in fighting. And then it says the same in Hebrew as well, with the picture of the backdrop of Irani strikes on Israel that took place on the 1st of October. Now, this is subtle messaging, and billboards like these, not just like these, but different of sorts, have been put all across the city. and you'll find them at prominent squares where it is Iranian government conveying it to both their people and to the Western audience that they are ready to fight. Now, this also comes in the backdrop of two important things. First, today marks 1 month of Iran's response to Israel from the 1st of October to the 1st of November. That is number one. Today also marks one week to Israel's response to Iran, to which Iran has now decided to respond. And with these regards, the Iranian foreign minister will be starting an in-person outreach to neighboring countries and regional countries at large and taking them into confidence ahead of Iran's much talked about response to Israel.
Amid direct confrontations with Tel Aviv this year, Iranian government has proposed to triple its military expenditure. Iran's government spokesperson said the move would see a 200% increase of Tehran's defense expenditure. Tehran has not disclosed any figures, but according to the think tank Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Iran's military spending in 2023 was about $10.3 billion. Iran is also developing its ties with Russia. Moscow said its treaty with Tehran includes defense cooperation between the two nations.
The upcoming Russian-Iranian agreement on comprehensive strategic cooperation is set to become a serious factor in strengthening relations between Russia and Iran. As I said, the agreement is being prepared for signing in the nearest future. It will stress the aspiration of both countries for closer defense cooperation as well as collaboration for the sake of regional and global peace and security.
Iran is looking to enhance its defense capabilities, building closer ties with Russia and North Korea in recent months. Meanwhile, Israel says its goal is to deter Iran from having any nuclear capabilities in the region.
Sheikh Naim Qassem was chosen to be the next leader of Hezbollah. Sheikh Naim is one of the founders of the Lebanese group, and his resolve will be to continue the resistance's war plan. Now, as he was giving his first speech as a new leader, the evacuation orders from Israel hit hard. They listed the largest evacuation orders since the beginning of the war to Baalbek city, a city of 8,000 residents. And just a small while later, they started pounding it. Take a look.
Hezbollah has named its successor to Hassan Nasrallah. Naim Qassem, the new chief, has been the Deputy Secretary General of the Lebanese group since 1991. Qassem acquired the position under Hezbollah chief Abbas al-Musawi, who was also killed in an Israeli strike, just like Hassan Nasrallah. The 71-year-old was born in the Nabatieh Governorate's Kafar Qila, a southern Lebanese village that has been consistently targeted by Israel since last October. One of Qassem's religious mentors was Ayatollah Muhammad Hussein Fadlallah, also known as Hezbollah's spiritual mentor. Qassem himself has taught religious classes for decades in Beirut. The new chief has been an important public face role of Hezbollah over the years, and also a member of the group's Shura Council. He wears a white turban, unlike Nasrallah and Saifuddin, whose black turbans used to indicate that they were descendants of the Prophet. After Nasrallah's killing, some speculated that Hezbollah Shura Council might wait for the end of Israel's war on Lebanon to elect a new leader. But Qassem was chosen amid a war that may shape the group's future. In his maiden speech as Hezbollah chief, Naim Qassem was clear that the Lebanese group will stay on course and follow the war plan. He claims that Hezbollah's prime goal is to protect its land.
No one is fighting on our behalf. Let everyone know. We are not fighting on behalf of anyone, not for anyone's personal project plan. We are fighting for our project. Our project is protection of Lebanon. Our project is the liberation of our land. Our project is to support our brothers in Palestine. Our project is for our country to be independent. Our project is to prevent America and Israel from controlling us.
Meanwhile, Israel's defense minister has said that Qassem will meet a similar fate as his predecessor, Hassan Nasrallah. On the battleground, fighting between Hezbollah and Israeli forces has taken a dangerous turn. The IDF ordered Lebanese civilians to evacuate the historic city of Baalbek. Similar evacuation orders were also issued for Sidon and Tyre. Scores of healthcare professionals have been killed due to the ongoing war. October has been a month of heavy casualties on Israel's northern front line. Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister has said that the country wants to enforce a ceasefire with Lebanon as long as Israeli citizens return to the north and the security is not compromised. The US says it is working to enforce UNSC Resolution 1701 that helped end the 2006 Hezbollah-Israel war.
This would be the basis of a diplomatic resolution to the crisis. It's important to make sure that we have clarity, both from Lebanon and from Israel, about what would be required under 1701 to get its effective implementation. The withdrawal of Hezbollah forces from the border, the deployment of the Lebanese armed forces, the authorities under which they'd be acting, an appropriate enforcement mechanism.
Lebanon civilians are bracing for a harsh winter and stretched humanitarian resources. So far, over 2,800 have already been killed by Israeli strikes, and the country's medical facilities are facing threats from incessant Israeli fire.
Israel's parliament overwhelmingly passed a bill to ban the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in Near East, UNRWA. The Knesset even went to label the UN organization as a terrorist organization. In the next report, we tell you the impact of that and why are global leaders deploring the Israeli decision.
UNRWA's fate is hanging by a delicate thread, as does the survival of over 5 million Palestinian refugees. This week, Israel's parliament voted to ban the United Nations Relief and Works Agency from operating in the country within 90 days. Knesset's decision prohibits the agency from conducting any activity or offering services within Israel, including in occupied East Jerusalem, Gaza and the West Bank. The aid agency currently employs 30,000 Palestinians across the region, serving the civic and humanitarian needs of 5.9 million descendants of those refugees. Knesset's move to disband UNRWA endangers the survival of these employees and Palestinian refugees across Arab nations. The restriction conflicts with international agreements on humanitarian aid, leaving a crucial service provider hamstrung in the face of mounting humanitarian need.
We are deeply troubled by this legislation. It could shutter UNRWA operations in the West Bank, in Gaza, in East Jerusalem. It poses risks for millions of Palestinians who rely on UNRWA for essential services, including healthcare and primary and secondary education. UNRWA, of course, plays a critical role in providing services to Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, and throughout the wider region.
You take away the healthcare workers, you take away the nutritional support, you take away the people who will provide the life-saving supplies for a population that is physically, absolutely on death's door, and psychologically, of course, in uncharted territory. You take away these healthcare workers, you take away the nutritionists, then we will see many more children die.
We emphasize that stopping support for UNRWA will have disastrous consequences, as well as preventing it from operating in the Palestinian territories, because we are talking about more than 6 million from our Palestinian brothers who are benefiting from the relief services of that agency.
Israel's hostility towards UNRWA is not new. The UN says Israeli forces have conducted 464 attacks on UNRWA premises since last year. The aid agency claims it lost 233 UNRWA staff members till date. Over 190 of UNRWA's installations, including schools and clinics, have been hit by Israeli strikes. For years now, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has been trying to shut down the agency's operations in Gaza. On the 11th of June 2017, Netanyahu called for the UN agency to be dismantled. He claimed that the UNRWA supported anti-Israeli sentiments while drawing out the refugee problem. After the Hamas assault last year, Netanyahu yet again found reason to shut down the organization's operations.
There are other agencies in the UN, there are other agencies in the world. They have to replace UNRWA. UNRWA is totally infiltrated with Hamas. It has been in the service of Hamas, in its schools, and in many other things. I say this with great regret because we hope that there would be an objective and constructive body to offer aid.
But what does Netanyahu mean by perpetuating a refugee problem? UNRWA allows Palestinian refugee men to transfer their refugee status from one generation to another. This key provision gives Palestinians the right to fight for their eventual return to Gaza. The clause ensures that generations do not lose all hope to return to their ancestral homeland after the death of the original 1948 refugees who were forcibly displaced in the Nakba. In 1948, the creation of Israel resulted in thousands of Palestinians becoming refugees in their own home, and their only survival support ever since has been the UNRWA that was established by the UN General Assembly in 1949. But if Netanyahu gets his way, there is a looming threat over UNRWA's future, and more so this time around. The leader has ordered Israeli forces to find an alternative to the agency, one that can facilitate life-saving supplies to the Palestinians. However, an agency run by Israel can only mean more administrative control over not just Gaza, but Palestinian refugees in other countries as well.
Let's go to Turkey. Turkey is upping its defense game. It's releasing its first Turkish-made fighter jet, Kaan. It is now launching in the global market. Now, Recep Tayyip Erdogan says that although Israel has its Iron Dome, Turkey will soon have its own Steel Dome air defense system.
NATO member Turkey is aiming to reduce its dependence on external suppliers of defense equipment. Ankara has steadily become one of the leading manufacturers of armed drones for the global market. It produces much of its own defense needs at home. In the latest, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan inaugurated the homemade Gökbi helicopter at the headquarters of the Turkish aerospace industries. Erdogan likened the Steel Dome to Israel's famed Iron Dome.
To counter threats from our adversaries and eliminate asymmetrical dangers, we must strengthen our layered air defense system, the system of systems. What do they have? They rely on the Iron Dome. If they have an Iron Dome, we will have a Steel Dome.
Turkish defense giant Baykar's TB3 drone has also entered mass production. It is expected to hit the global supply chain within the next 5 to 6 months. Poised to be a versatile addition to Turkey's growing arsenal of defense technology, Baykar Tar TB3 will have the added capability of landing on naval platforms. Turkish aerospace industries also plans to deliver Turkey's first homegrown fighter jet, Kaan, within the next 5 years. Initially designed as a 5th generation jet, Kaan features stealth capabilities and twin engines generating 13,000 kilograms of thrust, each reaching speeds of up to Mach 1.8. Turkish aerospace industries is currently upgrading Kaan with AI, state-of-the-art sensors, and the ability to integrate with unmanned platforms. With AI, state-of-the-art sensors, Turkish aviation's Kaan is intended to replace Turkey's aging F-16 fleet, reducing the country's dependence on foreign defense imports. The company's headquarters in Ankara was struck by a PKK terrorist attack. just recently killing 5 people and injuring several others. In response to the attack on its defense headquarters, Turkey launched fresh airstrikes on Kurdistan Workers' Party militants in Syria and Iraq overnight.
Many terrorists were neutralized in the airstrikes that were carried out with the maximum use of domestic ammunition. The evaluation of the impact on the targets is continuing and our airstrikes will continue.
The PKK, which has waged an on-off insurgency against the Turkish state since 1984, is designated as a terror group by Turkey and its Western allies. Turkey has been accused of targeting Kurdish civilians in cross-border strikes, a charge the army denies. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
West Asia is a very old region known for its cultural heritage, especially Mesopotamia and the Levant, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine. In Lebanon in particular, the largest standing Roman temple is in Baalbek. The oldest inhabited city on the Mediterranean is in Sur. In Tibnin and in other places, the cultural heritage sites have been attacked and have been damaged. Especially in Baalbek, everybody's eyes were round about it. We tell you more in this report. That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news and ground reports from the world's most volatile region. I am Redi Francis signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
One month since Iran's fierce fire at Israel, there's a rising buzz of fresh retaliatory strikes.
Well, I'm standing at the Palestine Square here in Tehran.
WION is in the Iranian capital, gauging the groundswell, tracking every development. Iran-Israel saber-rattling peaks, as each looks to firm up allies. An eye also on election-bound America and the shades of its West Asia policy ahead. WION tracks all dimensions of a complex, multi-layered picture.
For WION World is One.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
This week on Inside South Asia, lights, feasting and festivities. All the fervor around Diwali, celebrating the victory of good over evil. But there can be no ignoring the alarming air pollution levels in festival season. Is the seasonal wave of toxic haze over North India a problem with no solution? And a look at Pakistan's terror-disrupted polio drive that's an effort to protect 45 million children. All this and much more on Inside South Asia.
WION brings you a special business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders. From breakthrough technologies to visionary leadership. We will unlock the trends, the tactics, and dive into the minds of the industry's most influential leaders. WION brings you this special series to uncover what drives them in a candid talk show, WION Business Masters.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
We need to protect the border. We need to reduce inflation.
The election is free and fair, and that Kamala Harris wins.
Climate change, and I think affordable housing for all is important to me.